بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وما تقدموا لأنفسكم من خير تجدوه عند الله إن الله بما تعملون بصير.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وصلى الله على محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. أما بعد، فقد قال الحكيم في كتابه الكريم: إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر. In this session, inshallah, I will be explaining the rules of congregational prayers. As you know very well that congregational prayer is very important and very significant. It has been said that a prayer which is offered in congregational prayers is 25 times better than a prayer which is offered alone. So it is very much recommended, especially when it comes to Isha and Maghrib and Isha prayers, as well as Fajr prayers, to offer these prayers in Jama'ah, in congregational prayer. And the person who attends the congregational prayer will earn more sawab than when he offers the prayers alone and individually. It's also recommended for a person who is living in a neighborhood where there is a mosque and he hears the call for prayer to attend the congregational prayer. And it is not good on his part to neglect the congregational prayer. It is very much recommended for such a person and for all those people who are living nearby a mosque to gain the sawab of a congregational prayer. Of course, it has also been said by the ground religious authorities that a short congregational prayer is better than a prolonged frada prayer, a prolonged individual prayer, a prolonged prayer which is offered alone. That is because of the significance and the importance of congregational prayer. If you do not have a justified excuse to abandon or to miss a congregational prayer, you should attend the congregational prayer. And of course, those who have a reason and a justifiable excuse for not attending a congregational prayer, then of course they are excused. When it comes to the conditions and the rules regarding congregational prayer, of course we have to take different aspects of the congregational prayer into consideration. Of course, we have to reply to certain questions and answers. There are some questions which are frequently asked by mu'mineen across the world. For example, one of the frequently asked questions is this, that are we allowed to attend a Sunni congregational prayer? Is a prayer which is offered in a Sunni congregation is valid or not? This is one question. And another question is that what are the qualifications, what are the conditions which a prayer leader must meet in order for him to be qualified as a leader for prayer? These are some of the frequently asked questions. Now, when it comes to the first question, I should say that there are different situations. People who are living under taqiyya, people who are practicing quietism, people who are practicing dissimulation, and those who are afraid of being exposed to those who are hostile to Shias, and they are afraid of losing their jobs, or they are afraid of being attacked by others, and they fear lest their property might be robbed, might be taken away from them. So if a person, due to such fear, attends a congregational prayer, the congregational prayer which he offers is valid. In fact, a religious action, a religious deed which is performed under taqiyya is always valid. You cannot, for example, you cannot put your hands on your sides if you are afraid of your life, if you are afraid lest you might be attacked by other people, those who do not share with you the same religious beliefs and the same religious values. And in all such places where you are afraid of being attacked, afraid lest you or your property might be attacked, might be harmed, then in this case you can practice taqiyya, you can practice quietism. There is another form of taqiyya which is called reconciliatory taqiyya. If you are observing reconciliatory taqiyya, which is also in Arabic or in Persian, they call it taqiyya mudarati. It is just out of reconciliation and your intention is to reconcile with others. Again, you can observe taqiyya, and that taqiyya will not affect your prayer. In many cases, you can observe reconciliatory taqiyya. But here, of course, different scholars have different fatwas, and you need to look for the fatwa of your own mujtahid. I'm not going to mention the names of certain scholars whose view is that reconciliatory taqiyya, a person can observe reconciliatory taqiyya or can observe reconciliatory quietism and can offer his prayers with the followers of other sects. You have to look for yourself the fatwa of your own mujtahid, the mujtahid whom you follow and the mujtahid whom you believe to be qualified for taqleed. Now, if you are not under taqiyya and you want to join their congregational prayer of your own choice and of your own free will, what should you do and what are you supposed to do? Here the grand religious authorities have said that you must recite hamd and surah yourself. You can join them, you can say the takbir and everything, and you can bend, do the ruku and sujood, and the same way as they do, but you must also recite hamd and surah. And of course, what does that mean? If you recite the hamd and surah, then it means that actually the prayer which you offer with them it's not a congregational prayer. It is not a prayer offered in jama'ah actually. It is a prayer offered individually. It is a prayer offered as if you are offering a prayer alone. Grand religious authorities like Ayatollah Sistani says that you can recite hamd and surah. Even if you are required to recite it in low and silent voice, then you can do it, your prayer would be valid. But of course, you cannot fold your hands, you cannot prostrate on the carpet, because you are not required to do taqiyya in such circumstances, and you are not afraid of your life. No one is going to attack you, no one is going to harm you. In such cases, you cannot fold your hands, you cannot prostrate on the carpet. You must keep your hands on your sides, and you must also do sajda on things which are permissible, on earth, on stone, on wood, or on anything which grows from the earth, provided that they are not eatable, provided that they are not used for clothing, and provided that they are not minerals like gold and silver. Everything you can do prostration, you can prostrate on anything which is part of the earth, but which is not eatable and which is not worn for cloth, and which is not worn, which cannot be used for dress. Now, the second important, of course, question is, what are the qualifications of a prayer leader? This is also a very important question. The grand religious authorities have actually said that the prayer leader or the Imam who offers or who leads a congregational prayer should have the following actually conditions and should meet the following requirements. First of all, he must be adult. He must have completed the 15 lunar years. That means he is adult. He cannot be a person of 12 or 13 years old, a person who has not reached the age of adulthood, the age of puberty, and the age of bulugh. This is the first condition. The second condition is that the person who leads the prayer must be sane. He cannot be an insane or a mad or crazy person. He must be sane. And the third condition is that the person who leads the prayer must be a person who should be a Shia of Isna Ashari, or a Shia who believes in the 12 infallible Imams. He should have faith in the infallibility of the 12 infallible Imams. So he is called a Shia Isna Ashari. And the fourth condition is that he must be adil. this is, of course, a very important condition. He must be just. Adil means just. Now, a question arises as to what is the definition of adl? Whom can we term and whom can we describe as adil, as a person who is just? This is, of course, a very difficult question. And different scholars have given different fatwa in this regard. Some of them are very strict when it comes to the meaning of being adil, to the meaning of justice, or to this very trait, very quality which a person possesses, which the prayer leader should actually possess. Some of them have, some of the scholars have defined the word adil in a more simpler and easier way. Now, some scholars have said that if a person performs his wajibat and stays away from muharramat, the haram things, and he observes a proper appearance, like when you look at him, there is nothing wrong with his appearance. He has a beard, he has his conduct, the way he behaves are good, then that is sufficient and you can follow him in prayers. This is, of course, the simplest definition, the easiest definition for the term adil. Now, there is a more difficult, a more complex definition for the term adil. Some scholars have said that adil means a trait, a characteristic which is within the individual and which a person has acquired over a period of years and which causes him to do the wajibat and to stay away from haram thing. This quality, this trait is ingrained in his personality, and it has become part of his secondary habit. Now, in Arabic terminology, that is called malaka. That is called a secondary habit. A secondary habit, when you have a secondary habit, that secondary habit makes you do things automatically, without deciding, without thinking beforehand. Now, if the word justice or being just is defined in such in strict sense, then of course we have to rethink when we follow someone, when we have to follow a prayer leader. I believe one of the reasons the Shia have less Jama'at prayers and there are few people attending the Jama'at prayer is this, that many people think that the prayer leader might not be adil, he might not be just. So that's why he starts offering his prayers individually, or he does not attend the congregational prayer simply because he thinks that the prayer leader might not be a just person. He knows that he is, of course, Shia, he knows that he is sane, he is, of course, adult, and he has attained the age of puberty. But this is one of the reasons many people avoid attending a congregational prayer. Some people do join the congregational prayer, but they make the niyyah of radha. They recite the Hamd and Surah. That is, I think, one of the reasons we have less, and we have few people attending the Jama'at prayer, or we have few people going to the mosque to offer their prayers in Jama'ah. So, of course, you have to look for yourself as to how your marja has defined the term adil, the term just. If he says that a person, a prayer leader who performs his wajibat and keeps away from haram things and has a modest appearance, and he behaves in his behavior, he behaves, of course, properly, and of course, and you have not seen anything bad from him, then you can follow him. This is, of course, easy, and you can, while looking at someone, you can, and if you see that he is such a person, you can follow him, and there would be no objection. Now, fifth condition is that the prayer leader must be of legitimate birth. He must not be illegitimate by birth. It is not permissible to follow a person who is known to be illegitimate by birth. It is absolutely forbidden. This is, of course, one of the reasons an illegitimate person does not enjoy the privilege to become a prayer leader, and of course, an illegitimate child does not inherit from his father, from his parents. He does not have the privilege to become a mujtahid. There are some, of course, deprivations, and he cannot give fatwa and so on and so forth. This makes him different from an ordinary person, from a person who is legitimate by birth. Now, the sixth condition which a prayer leader must meet is that he must be able to offer the prayers correctly. He must be able to pronounce the words, the letters, and everything correctly. Now, a person is not able to pronounce the letters correctly, you cannot follow him. Even if he is actually a person who is just, even if he has all other characteristics, even if he bears all other conditions, since he does not and cannot pronounce the words and the letters correctly, you cannot follow him. Now, all of the ulama and mujtahideen have said that it's not necessary for the prayer leader to be able to know the rules of tajweed. Tajweed is one thing, and being able to pronounce the words and letters correctly is another. So it's not necessary for the prayer leader to recite as well as the professional reciters. It's not necessary for him to know the rules and the strict, of course, rules of tajweed. If he knows, it would be better. But if he does not know, there is no problem. What is necessary is that he should be able to recite and to pronounce the letters and the words properly. He should be able to differentiate between zay and dhat, and between ta and ta. These are the letters which require different pronunciations. Now, if a prayer leader does not and cannot differentiate between the different letters, Arabic letters, you cannot actually follow him in prayers. Dear brothers and sisters, the ground religious authorities have also said that if a person is suffering from an ailment, from a disease like leprosy, like blotches, and like if he is suffering from a severe case of skin diseases, then it is better not to follow him in prayer. But it is not haram, of course, but it's better to avoid offering prayers behind him. And it has also been said that it is necessary for the follower to recite all the things of prayer himself except Surah Al-Hamd and the surah which he himself should recite. The rest of the zikr, the rest of the wajib acts of prayer should be recited by the person himself. He cannot leave it to the Imam. Only Hamd and Surah is recited by the Imam. The rest of the things and the rest of the words and letters and zikrs should be recited by the Ma'mum himself. Now, in case you are offering the Maghrib and Isha prayers behind the Imam, those prayers which must be recited loudly by the Imam. If you do not hear his voice, it's not necessary to hear him distinctly and clearly, but if you never hear him, then you must recite Hamd and Surah yourself. There is no disagreement in this regard. You must recite it yourself, and you should not wait for the Imam to complete Hamd and Surah, because you do not hear him. If you hear him, even if you do not hear him distinctly, then you cannot recite it. But of course, you can engage in saying Alhamdulillah and zikr. There would be no problem in doing that. And of course, there is one more question which is normally asked by people. Is it permissible for a woman to be a prayer leader? The answer is this, that a woman can lead the prayer only for women only, for women. If there are men also, she cannot lead a congregational prayer. In the absence of men, she can lead a congregational prayer, and it has been said that it is better for the woman, for the prayer leader, to stand in the middle of the first row, This is the fatwa of the ground religious authorities. And the prayer leader, it has been also said that the prayer leader should try to take the conditions of the followers into consideration. If the followers are in a hurry, or if the followers are aged people, he should prolong the. Of course, if the followers are aged, he should prolong the prayer and should keep until the aged people can do the ruku properly and can do the sujood properly. But if the ma'mumeen, the followers, are young people and they are in a hurry, for example, he should try to offer the prayers in a faster pace, quicker than usual. And it has also been said by the ground religious authorities that if you are following if a number of people are following, and there are lines, 2 or 3 or 4 or maybe 10 lines behind lines of people or rows of people standing behind the prayer leader, and when he says the takbir, for example, the prayer leader says the takbir, those who are standing immediately before the Imam, it's better for them to say the takbir. And if they fail to do the takbir, but they are prepared to say the takbir, then the people who are standing in the second or third or fourth lines can say the takbir, takbiratul ihram, and it's not necessary for them to wait for the first line to say the takbir. They can say the takbir and the prayer would be valid. Now, another question which is also asked normally is that if a child stands in a line, and there is, let's suppose that there's only one line. Of course, if you do not, the Maraji have said that if you do not know that the child's prayer is invalid, then there is no problem. You can the congregational prayer is valid. But if you know that the child would create a gap between you and the Imam, and then of course the child's prayer is also invalid, then you cannot leave the child to create the gap. The child must be on either side of the prayer or on either side of the line. He cannot stand in the middle. And of course, if there is another line in front of you, then the people who stand behind or joined by the people who are standing in front of you, and the existence of a child in the middle of a row will not invalidate the congregational prayer. These are some of the rules regarding the Jama'at prayer, and of course there are other rules and other details, and I do not want to prolong by giving all the details, because it would require me to give another lecture regarding the same subject. I want to actually give a summary of the ahkam in regards to different subjects. I only refer to the most frequently asked questions or those issues which are of daily need, of daily practice. And inshallah, in the next session to come, I will explain the rules of a different subject. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا يا ربنا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا يا ربنا يا ربنا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا يا ربنا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا